LinkedIn presents.
Even if you don't make art, even if you're not a writer, a photographer, a musician, you are creative every day in your work and in your life. Problem solving is a creative act. Conversations are creative. Parenting is creative. Falling in love, leaving your job, changing your mind, all creative acts. Creativity isn't just about making art. Making your life is the ultimate creative act.
Good morning. I'm your host, Michael Kovnat, and this is the Next Big Idea Daily, quick masterclasses from the best new nonfiction in under 15 minutes. Make sure you're following the show to get new episodes and sign up for our free companion newsletter using the link in the episode notes. Today's topic is creativity. Now, what if creativity isn't about painting a masterpiece, but about how you solve problems, how you parent your kids, how you run your next meeting? Maggie Smith, a best-selling poet and author of Dear Writer, Pep Talks and Practical Advice for the Creative Life, says we're all creative beings, whether we realize it or not. Making art might not be your job, but making a meaningful life absolutely is. And in a noisy, overscheduled world, paying attention, really paying attention, might just be your superpower. Maggie's here to share some deceptively simple ways to live and work more creatively right after this quick break.
From LinkedIn News, I'm Leah Smart, host of Everyday Better, an award-winning podcast dedicated to personal development. Join me every week for captivating stories and research to find more fulfillment in your work and personal life. Listen to Everyday Better on the LinkedIn Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
From LinkedIn News, I'm Jessie Hempel, host of the Hello Monday podcast. Start your week with the Hello Monday podcast. We'll navigate career pivots. We'll learn where happiness fits in. Listen to Hello Monday with me, Jessie Hempel, on the LinkedIn Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Maggie Smith. I'm a poet and a New York Times bestselling author of 8 books. I'm going to share with you 5 of the key insights from my brand new book, Dear Writer, Pep Talks and Practical Advice for the Creative Life. Number 1, creativity is our birthright as human beings. When people ask, how did you become a poet? I think everyone is born a poet. Let me explain. Years ago, I visited my children's elementary school to talk to second graders about poetry. In preparation, I got a sneak peek at the language arts textbook they were using. In the poetry unit, the authors described poets as having a special ability to see the world in a poetic way. Poets' eyes, they wrote, even suggesting that teachers decorate an oversized pair of silly glasses to put on during poetry lessons. I spent a few days with each class, and on my first day, I told the kids that there's no such thing as poets' eyes. Every child is born with poets' eyes. We all have them. We just have to keep using them. Poetry comes naturally to children because they haven't been estranged from their imaginations and from their sense of newness in the world. They naturally have beginner's mind. As we age, we can become distracted and desensitized. We have to pay better attention, but more than that, we have to find ways to make the familiar strange again, to see the extraordinary tucked inside the ordinary. Poets' eyes are for all of us, the way the tools of poetry are for all of us. After all, everyone is creative. Yes, everyone. Even if you don't make art, even if you're not a writer, a photographer, a musician, you are creative every day in your work and in your life. Problem solving is a creative act. Conversations are creative. Parenting is creative. Falling in love, leaving your job, changing your mind, all creative acts. Creativity isn't just about making art. Making your life is the ultimate creative act. Attention is a form of love. I know this as a parent, a friend, a teacher. What we turn our gaze to feels that warmth and light. What we dedicate ourselves to feels cherished, and conversely, what we ignore feels slighted, neglected, devalued. This essential part of creativity requires no pen, no paper, no paints, no canvas, no nothing, only your awareness. Your hands can be empty, but your mind should be open. As I was thinking my way into Dear Writer, about how to write this book and talk about creativity in a way that makes it accessible for everyone, about the ingredients and the secret sauce, I sat down and made a long list on a legal pad. That very long list included words like curiosity, courage, trust, patience, gumption, improvisation, love, and so on. Looking at this unwieldy list, I started winnowing it down, prioritizing the terms that appealed most to me and seemed the most expansive. I eventually narrowed the list to 10 principles of creativity: attention, wonder, vision, surprise, play, vulnerability, restlessness, connection, tenacity, and hope. All 10 are essential, but attention comes first for a reason. I can't think of anything more important for a writer or artist than to be a sensitive, finely tuned instrument in the world. Keep your antenna raised. We need you to be all in. Not only writing, but living requires us to slow down and tune in, to listen, watch, touch, smell, taste, experience. Life's everyday activities create static, a constant hum of responsibility, news, reminders, encounters, and our work is to dial past that static to hear the quiet voice inside us. Some artists call this voice the muse. You can call it whatever you like. For writers, the quiet voice inside might whisper a line of a poem or a bit of description or a bit of dialogue. But that voice has things to tell us about our lives, too, if we tune in and listen carefully. I don't have to tell you that the world is a complicated place, full of both beauty and horror. You know this as well as I do. But even when the world lets me down, even when it isn't what I want it to be, I find things to love and to be grateful for. I pay attention. My kids and I do our best to focus on beauty in our house. It's not unusual to hear one of us shout, "Beauty emergency." A beauty emergency is what we call something that stops you in your tracks, something you have to look at right away before it's gone. It might be a fiery pink and orange sunrise, or an albino squirrel in the sycamore tree, or snowflakes that seem to be falling in slow motion. If you take your time getting to the window, the sunrise might be pale peach. The white squirrel might be gone. The snow turned to sleet. Wonder is the key here. There's no creativity without it. Wonder is the opposite of cynicism. It's warm and enthusiastic, while cynicism is chilly and bored. Wonder is shushing everyone so you can follow the sound of a woodpecker to the tree it's on. Cynicism is rolling your eyes and checking your texts instead. Wonder says, "Wow!" and cynicism replies, "So what?" Creativity requires us to pay attention and to approach the world with wonder. So many of my poems were made possible only because I took the time to look at my surroundings, listen to the wind and the birds, touch leaves to know their textures, breathe deeply to describe what the autumn air smelled like. Being sensitive, attuned, observant, these things don't just improve your writing, they improve your life. Art changes us. Above all, I think we come to art to be changed. We come to books, films, music, and visual art to be expanded, unzipped like a suitcase, made larger on the inside, able to accommodate even more living. Creativity is the great expander. When you read a poem or listen to a song or watch a play, you're not the same person afterward. You're slightly rearranged. Yes, your DNA is still the same, your fingerprints are still the same, you look the same in the mirror, but you aren't exactly who you were. Be careful, I might tell someone when handing them a book or a record. You will be different after this. Years spent with art are years spent in cocoon after cocoon after cocoon, always emerging changed. Never let us say that books can't change us, because they can and do. Books are community gathering spaces, spaces where connection isn't just possible, but inevitable. When I read a book, I enter a place another writer has made. I can leave, but not entirely. I take the place with me when I go. Once a piece of art is inside you, it will continue to do its work on you for the rest of your life. Think about the music you listen to, the films you return to again and again, how they move you or help you see things in a new way or just make your day better. Now imagine if those musicians, actors, artists, and writers never shared that work. You would be different. Your life would be smaller, less vibrant without their art. Your life would be diminished without the transformation that their art made possible. Every no makes room for a yes. I want to talk about the role that rejection and disappointment play in our lives. Once upon a time, when I first began submitting poems to journals, rejections arrived in the mail. These days, it's usually an impersonal email, one an editor must select from a drop-down menu in the journal's online submission system. Working for a literary magazine, like judging book contests, has helped me see rejection in a new way. I know how much stunning, worthy work is in that submission queue, and I know how little room we have to publish it. The decisions are sometimes excruciating. A no is a subjective no to one specific batch of work at one specific moment in time by one particular reader for a variety of reasons. A no is not a blanket rejection of you. It's not even a rejection of your work as a whole or your worth as a writer. It's not a no to your talent. I also want to say this: every no makes room for a yes. I tell my students that almost all of my poems were rejected before they found a home at a magazine. Good Bones, my most famous poem, for example, was rejected by the first few print magazines I sent it to before it was published by the online journal Waxwing. I didn't know it at the time when those early rejections stung. But those early rejections were a gift. If Good Bones had been published in print, it wouldn't have gone viral. Meryl Streep wouldn't have read it at Lincoln Center. It wouldn't have been featured on the CBS show Madam Secretary. It would have had a much smaller life without those initial no's. We are all playing the long game, and the only way to fail at the long game is to give up. So we keep going, and we remember that sometimes the failures clear a path for something better. Creating is inherently hopeful. I think of each poem, each essay, each book I write as a message in a bottle. I don't know, when I toss it into the waves, what shore it might wash up on, or when, or who might be standing there on the shore to receive it. I don't know if they'll pull the message out and unscroll it, or if they'll overlook the bottle altogether. And if they do read it, I don't know what they'll think. Will they understand? Will they receive the creation in the way I hoped anyone would? To make things that don't exist yet and don't need to exist, because that is the very definition of art. And to send them out into the world is wildly, impractically, gorgeously hopeful. In harrowing times, and truly, what times have not been harrowing? I sometimes ask myself, what can a poem do? A poem isn't a tourniquet when you're bleeding. It's not water when you're thirsty or food when you're hungry. A poem can't protect you from violence or from hate. It can be difficult to create, to paint, to sculpt, to compose when your work feels like it's not doing enough, when it can't do the real tangible work of saving lives or making people safer. But art can do real, tangible, transformative work inside us. Think about the art that has become an important part of your life, the songs you love, the books you treasure, the films you quote line for line. Art isn't extra, it's necessary. Art isn't life's decoration, but its framework. I know what some people would say. Wow, she really thinks being an artist is as important as being a doctor, a farmer, a firefighter. But I have been fed and healed and saved by art, by someone else's hope sent out into the world when it washed up on my shore. This is not hyperbole. In harrowing times, yes, all times, art is essential. Our work as artists isn't to solve the world's problems, but to articulate the problems, not to answer every question, but to, with wild hope, ask and keep asking. Only by engaging with ambiguity can we make art that feels true.
Thank you, Maggie. Okay, everyone, you can get a copy of Dear Writer at your favorite bookstore. That's our show for the day. If you got something out of it, please leave a rating or review in your podcast player so others can find it too. And stay tuned to the next Big Idea Daily, because this week we'll be bringing you lots of big ideas that just might change your approach to work and life. I'm Michael Kovnat. See you tomorrow.